Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Karim Ayyad from MSA University in Egypt. My presentation today is about the effects of environmental factors on the spread of COVID-19 in indoor and outdoor spaces. Well, I would like to start by quoting Ed Young, who is a science journalist for The Atlantic, when he said, "We long to return to normal, but normal actually led to this. Because our current model of economic growth has led to increasing deforestation. And this one of the main reasons why this whole thing has happened. The moving of the animals into cities and urbanization and deforestation, and then the viruses started moving from animals to human hosts, and the whole story began like this. Well, the contents of this presentation will be an introduction and then the relationship between the environment and COVID-19 disease. And then we will discuss the effect of weather on the spread of the pandemic. After this, we're going to discuss the relationship between the built environment and COVID-19. And then we come up with the recommendations and the conclusion. Well, as an introduction, we all know that the two modes of infection that were announced originally by the World Health Organization were direct exposure to droplets from an infected person or exposure to contaminated surfaces, which basically have also droplets from an infected person. But then later on, the WHO stated that the virus could also be airborne, which means that you can go into a space where someone infected with the virus was there, maybe up to 30 minutes ago, and he was merely talking or just perhaps sneezing. Some of the droplets, micro droplets, and also micro aerosols can be floating in the air of the room, and somebody can get infected even without the original infected person being there. So the problem is we have an airborne disease, and it can actually transmit from one person to another without both of them being present in the same place. So it's obvious that environmental factors such as the air and also the, the level of humidity, the the temperature of the room, all these affect the patterns of transmission of SARS-CoV-2, which causes the COVID-19 disease. And these effects are happening indoors and outdoors. So in this study, we're going to demonstrate the different mechanisms for that effect. Well, the environment and COVID-19 has been working closely since the beginning because, as I said earlier, the deforestation and the degradation of the environment has caused this meeting of the virus with human race, and the interaction has been so deep that some scientists actually consider this pandemic to be an environmental catastrophe. So um, we should we should pay attention to this interaction. And ever since the start of this pandemic, there was strong evidence that it started in the environment and in wildlife, basically from animals in Wuhan, China, wild animals. And it has been believed to be transmitted to humans from a wild bat through a pangolin. But the existence of these wild animals on the menu for human consumption can only be explained by the infiltration of human settlements into the wild and into forests. In the next stage, which is the spread of the pandemic, also interaction was there between the environment and COVID-19. Um, of course, the humanity has experienced respiratory pandemics before, such as the Spanish flu, but it didn't spread in the same pace like COVID-19. So being airborne and having the modern lifestyle that we have now with crowds and shopping malls, crowded environments, all this combined has led to the fast spread of the disease, and at the same time, even buildings which have poor ventilation and depend entirely on mechanical ventilation, they have contributed to this fast spread of the virus. After this, we're going to look at the effect of weather on the spread of the pandemic because weather events can be very decisive on the spread of the pandemic and how it can move one place to another into buildings and outdoor spaces. First, the wind, of course, because it's an airborne disease, so fast wind movement can help reduce the transmission of the disease because it's flushing away the micro aerosols and the droplets. While if you have stagnant or slow moving wind, this means slower or no flushing of the concentration of virus. So uh, the wind is very important when dealing with a pandemic like this. Also, solar radiation, because it was proven that the high solar radiation can also kill or at least deactivate the virus. So, having good solar exposure can be also very effective in fighting the pandemic. Cloud cover, if you have high cloud cover, this means uh, there's not enough sun to kill the virus. So, a high cloud cover would also promote the spread of the virus outdoors. Uh, as for temperature, high temperature can help reduce the disease transmission because it's drying up the micro aerosols that are carrying the virus in the first place. And by doing so, uh, they are eradicating the opportunity for the virus to survive for a long time outdoors. Humidity or moisture is also a decisive factor because if you have higher moisture level, this means the virus can live for a longer time. So what we're trying to do here is to have a drier environment in order to reduce the lifetime of the virus, either indoors or outdoors. If you have clear weather with no rainfall or no snow, that would be better for fighting the virus because with rain and wet surfaces, the virus can last longer. So we are trying to we're trying to have drier surfaces, and of course this will be easier with clear weather. So if we discuss the relationship between the built environment and COVID-19, if we just translate the information that we just read into this relationship. By definition, cities are supposed to be a human refuge, which is supposed to protect people from outside threats. This is the definition that we learned at architecture schools. But recent studies on COVID-19 infections prove that Actually, it happens more in indoors environment, in the buildings that we're doing, and the cities that are supposed to protect us. So this shift of the role of the built environment from a protector to its dwellers and users into an inhibitor for diseases is really catastrophic, because this is a big shift in the role of the city and the environment that we are building for ourselves and our children in order to protect us is now actually helping with the spread of the virus that is killing people. So this shift is very alarming. So if we look at the details of how this is happening, we'll find out that indoor transmission, which is the absolute majority of the transmission cases, we can find that it can transmit from one person to another without both of them being present at the same place. And there was actually another interesting case where the infectious person could actually infect someone who is 9 meters away in a restaurant in China, while another person was very close to him, but he didn't get infected just because the air conditioner unit was just behind that person and it was blowing air in the direction of the unlucky person 9 meters away. So this can actually give us a very important perspective on how the aerodynamics inside buildings can change the pattern of infection. Here we're going to see a short movie about this and about the aerosols that are being uh, transmitting in the inside the room. Now this person is an infected person, and when he is talking loudly or even uh, merely breathing, some of the aerosols, very small aerosols, are coming out of his mouth and nose, and then it's going into the indoor space to people who are not even in his vicinity. And in such an unventilated space, you can get the virus without even getting into the 2 meters range, which is the famous range for social distancing. So this can tell us on the huge importance of the control of the indoor environment. We have to control the aerodynamics of the indoor environment, also sunlight, because it can help reduce the viral load in the room, because as we mentioned earlier, it can deactivate or kill the virus. Also, moisture level, it has to be under control in the indoor environment, because high moisture level will promote the lifetime of the virus either in the air or on surfaces. On outdoor transmission in the built environment as well, we can see that there are different surfaces. Each of them has different properties concerning the lifetime of the virus. So the virus can survive on metal for up to 5 days, which are doorknobs and handrails, on glass for 5 days as well, ceramics, the same thing, wood a little bit less, like 4 days, plastics and stainless steel 2 to 3 days, cardboard 1 day, aluminum only 2 to 8 hours, while copper only for 4 hours. So When we are designing the outdoor space and choosing materials, it's better to look at this piece of information and the best material you can use in order to have less viruses on the surfaces. So after knowing all this, then we can start recommending some actions regarding architectural design and urban design. Concerning architectural design, we have to have natural ventilation. Now, it's not a luxury anymore. It's very important to have natural ventilation because you're flushing away the virus and all other uh, bacteria and harmful substances. Also, the solar infiltration will help with killing the virus and other bacteria. Having less humidity inside the place, using aluminum and copper and stainless steel in the surfaces that are being touched frequently, and also having semi-outdoor areas like courtyards and porches and roofs will also help the users to get fresh air and not to be inside all the time. In urban design, it's advisable to create areas which can be easily ventilated. The aerodynamics with the place itself that can be uh, having fresh air and the airflow is easy with also the solar exposure. Of course, people would like to have some shade, but then there should be some flexibility between having shade and having sun. For the outdoor seating, it should promote social distancing and materials and surfaces uh, should be chosen based on the lifetime of viruses and bacteria. So, as a conclusion, I would like to say that there's strong evidence that environmental factors have played and will still play a major role in the start and the spread of this virus and the pandemic in general. But with the right architectural and urban design, we can still save hundreds of thousands of lives because the same environmental factors, if they are well understood, they can be used to slow down the spread of the virus instead of increasing its space. I would like to thank you very much, and I hope that was useful for you. Thank you.